Millions of resumes are submitted every day in this country, sent by mail, faxed, and emailed. Where do they all go? Which one does the employer even read? If an employer advertises a job, 500 to 2,000 resumes might be submitted. How can you make yours mean something? In this section, you'll learn how to prepare your resume and how to get it read. Preparing the resume. First, let's talk about things to exclude from your resume. If you haven't applied for a job for a long while, you may not be aware that anything that could be considered discriminatory is a no-no in today's politically correct world. Employers are not allowed to ask you your age, if you're 40 or up, sex, marital status, religion, height, weight, or whether you smoke. Who would look after your children when you're working is another thing you're not allowed to ask. They are permitted to ask what hours you could work. Have you ever been arrested? They may ask you if you've been convicted of a crime. No questions about physical disabilities. No questions about your Army Reserve commitments. Whether you have children or whether you plan to have them in the future is a no-no. Here's one that surprised me, and I think it will surprise you too. An employer is not allowed to ask questions that reveal the applicant's social status, which means that you can't ask them if they belong to a country club or a golf club. Technically, you can't ask them in what part of town they live, although it's obvious from the address on the job application. Employers are not allowed to ask you these questions, and you're not to offer that information. The person who reviews your resume will immediately exclude you if you do. For one thing, it shows that you're hopelessly out of touch, and for another, it smells of an attorney trolling for a discrimination lawsuit. How can you increase the chances of getting them to at least read your resume? The key issue here is to make it relevant to the job for which you're applying. It's better to send 10 resumes that are tailored to the job than 100 resumes broadsided in the hope that one of them will attract attention. Remember that the HR director may be reviewing 50 or 60 resumes a day, perhaps more if they accept email resumes. They are looking for ways to eliminate applicants at that stage. Lack of relevant background will get you kicked out. If you have tailored your resume to the job opening, their initial response may well be, "This could be just the person we're looking for. Let's get this one in for an interview." The optimum length of a good resume. Consider the way that newspaper editors train their journalists to write stories. You start with an attention-grabbing headline to make the reader want to read it. A concise and interesting first paragraph that clearly states what the story is about. From then on, the story grows and expands with detail. You don't have to read it all to understand what it's about, but if it continues to hold your reader's interest, they will read it to the end. Use the same formula when you're writing a resume. Your resume should scream, "I can solve your problems for you." An attention-grabbing headline that is directly relevant to the job opening. A well-written description of your experience, starting with your most recent experience and working back in time. Don't let anyone tell you that a long resume is a mistake. A long resume is only a mistake if it's boring. If it continues to grab the interviewer's attention, it can be several pages long. A long resume is fine as long as the employer can pick it up and quickly see what they need to know about the applicant. Long resumes are a big mistake when the employer tries to get to the crux of the applicant's qualifications but can't. Some people write resumes with such gravitas that they apparently think the employer will be so excited to get their resume that they will clear their desk to concentrate on reading it and then call a hiring committee meeting to consider it. A more realistic approach would be to think of